It's fascinating to know that Nvidia is currently one of the fastest growing global manufacturers of high-end graphics processing units, GPUs, in the United States and in the world. What's more is the fact that they have now dominated and taken control over the industry.
Who was watching Nvidia earnings today and their heart was literally skipping a beat?
We look at the $1.97 trillion market capitalization. This is a company that is finding working with China more difficult, largely because of US-Chinese geopolitics.
The company is expected to make $110 billion in top-line revenue next year.
Now, the biggest growth that shocked many was how Nvidia quickly doubled its value to $1 trillion in just 270 days. If you thought that was interesting, wait till you hear how high Nvidia has managed to raise its stock price since its launch in 1999. So with all of these achievements stated, one can't help but wonder, what is the secret behind Nvidia's rapid growth to the top? And more importantly, can this growth really make them take over the financial market? Let's talk about it. Have you ever wondered how the GPU industry suddenly became relevant? Hold on, it's not as difficult as you think. It all points back to the sudden increase in demand for AI tech in the past few years. These graphics processing units, GPUs, are what provide the computing power necessary to make these models work. And this has pushed Nvidia to the top to become the third largest American company in history to hit a $2 trillion valuation. I know it's shocking to hear, but that's not all. Just this year alone, Nvidia has added an insane sum of $277 billion in stock market value, which we got to know after the company released its earnings report for the first 3 months of the year. Now the company's stock has increased by 16.4% to reach a record high closing price of $785.38, pushing its market capitalization to $2.01 trillion. Well, look at the numbers. There's only one thing we can think of. Nvidia is taking over.
What is Nvidia's underlying growth?
So this is now the $2 trillion club. 12 zeros means Nvidia's market cap is more than the individual GDPs of Russia, Mexico, Australia. That's all based on 2023 IMF data.
We can now easily say that the high demand for specialized chips used in AI computing has pushed Nvidia to the top. The company is now a big player amongst the likes of Apple and Microsoft, which are also a part of the exclusive club of companies with a market value exceeding $2 trillion. Now, how did this happen? If we take a look at how the GPU manufacturing industry has grown, we can see that the reason they're booming right now is because of graphics cards. Let me explain. These graphics cards have become one of the most important components in AI tech because it speeds up computations. I mean, think about it. Haven't you ever wondered why AI is so freaking fast? Well, it's because these GPUs are also renowned for their ability to execute technical calculations faster and with superior energy efficiency compared to CPUs. It doesn't end there. These GPUs can deliver the best performance for training artificial intelligence models, and they also provide a wide array of functions to applications that use accelerated computing. Now, the thing that really blows the mind is the fact that Nvidia's GPUs are even more powerful than you think. These GPUs made by Nvidia are capable of making trillions of operations in seconds. And it has always been stated by Nvidia's CEO that in order to make computer operations faster,
we need bigger GPUs.
Picture it this way. Let's say you have a complex calculation of cracking a 10-digit passcode. It'll probably take your average computer's CPU 1,000 years to crack because it'll likely be trying out every single combination one by one, which is a very long time. The GPUs Nvidia manufactures can crack the code in days or even hours, depending on the complexity of it, which is a significantly shorter time than 1,000 years. And just so you know, it's unbelievable to wrap your head around how these devices made by Nvidia can perform such complex operations at light speeds. However, in so many cases, these GPUs have been dubbed the rare earth metals, or even the gold of AI applications, because they are essential to the current generative AI era. And now, because of the computing power these graphic cards can provide, everything is moving towards them. And we've seen this trend not just in the artificial intelligence community alone, but also in the cryptocurrency mining space, gaming industry, and 3D graphics rendering community. Additionally, since GPUs have been the hardware backbone backbone of AI systems, Nvidia's extraordinary ability to create the best performing GPU systems is nothing short of outstanding. This company has surprisingly overtaken competitors in the competitive space and has earned them their top spot as a leading manufacturer in the United States.
Why? Why is everybody still so bullish on this name? First, talk about the big cloud companies, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, etc., Amazon, all promising to increase their capital expenditures. That means they're spending more money on GPUs. Nvidia benefits.
Not only that, over 40,000 companies use Nvidia GPUs for artificial intelligence and accelerated computing, which has attracted a global community of over 4 million developers. Yes, you heard that right. But if we can puzzle all of these together, one can easily observe that having this much control and power over a very important space in the United States could lead to bad consequences for Nvidia. And being a US company, they would consistently be subjected to checks by the government to protect the economy against any sort of monopolistic influence. Whoever controls the gold controls the power, right? Yeah, the government doesn't want that, but...
And it's going to take, as long as half a decade to put a real dent into what is pretty much an Nvidia monopoly here.
Now let's go down memory lane to see how this same excessive power hasn't ended well for a lot of US companies in the past. A good example can be taken as we date back to the late 19th century when the American oil production company, Standard Oil, owned by John D. Rockefeller, got checked by the US government because of its monopolistic influence and control over the oil production industry in the US. The control became so high that Standard Oil began to set unfair prices, and they were able to do so because they had little or no competition back then in the oil production space in the US. But how could this even be possible? Well, let's take a much closer look. So Standard Oil was able to hold a near monopoly in the United States. This monopoly grew so much that it began to raise concerns. However, this excessive power and influence only lasted for a while, because while all of this was going on, the US government had plans to break up the oil giant through its antitrust laws. You see, these laws were specifically created as far back as 1890 in America to target companies with huge powers, monopolies, and dominance. If we examine properly, we can see that the US government operates in a three-branch system, and these systems include the executives, the legislature, and the judiciary. Each of the branches provides checks and balances to the US economy to prevent companies like, now you should be able to see where we're going. Yes, Nvidia. These laws are in place to prevent Nvidia and other similar industry giants from accumulating excessive power. So the antitrust laws were a reaction to the industrialization of the late 19th century because of the perception that there was too much economic power over specific industries being concentrated in a few hands. So how was Nvidia able to become one of the world's biggest technology manufacturing companies today? Well, we can find the answer as far back as 1993. The company you now hear of as Nvidia was founded on April 5th, 1993 by Jensen Huang, who is currently the CEO as of 2024 and a Taiwanese-American electrical engineer. First of all, the business began as a fabless semiconductor company in 1993, creating graphics accelerator devices for personal computers. However, in the early days of the company, the founders included Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem, three scientists and engineers who worked in the United States. A day later, in a meeting at an East San Jose Denny's roadside diner, the three men spoke about launching the company with a startup capital of about $40,000. And that was where the journey began. You see, the name Nvidia was formed by the combination of two terms. Nvidia, the Latin word for envy, and the acronym NV, short for Next Vision, which the company used to label its files early during its initial years. In 1993, the three co-founders predicted that the best path for the next generation of computing would be in accelerated computing, most importantly in graphics-based processing. In the grand scheme of things, this option was the best, and it was only chosen because of its unique capacity to address problems that regular computer methods could not solve at the time.
The question is, what are we going to do? How does it all work out? How do we start the company?
So what was their aim? So you see, the big plan was that they wanted to improve how computer processing was done and improve its capabilities using a new graphics chip that they designed. However, their first attempt failed, and they nearly bankrupted the company in 1996. The company produced graphics cards that accelerated and improved 3D graphics for computer games, and in 1999, the biggest step was taken when Nvidia launched its first ever dedicated brand of GPUs, which was released and named the GeForce series. You see, this chip, called the GeForce 256, was so powerful at the time that its release was a huge success for Nvidia as a company, because this GPU series soon became known mostly for its revolutionary graphics capabilities and also for its performance. Since then, every GPU technology in the gaming space has been dominated by Nvidia. Until 2007, yet again, when Nvidia experienced another massive success that occurred during the Tesla and AI revolutions. This success was far bigger than the one they made in 1999. The Tesla series was introduced by Nvidia, and the purpose of these GPUs was to accelerate AI working loads. The Tesla architecture became a very important step in deep learning algorithms and neural network developments, and these actions elevated Nvidia to the top of the AI revolution industry as we know it today.
Tesla is changing the type of computing that engineers and scientists do.
Nvidia has, however, since then offered its services to numerous tech companies in the United States, and one of the most popular collaborations is with Apple. Back then, the Macintosh was the first platform to feature the GeForce 3 in 2001, and the project went so far that Nvidia even created a separate chipset that was used in the 2008 MacBooks to help give faster GPU performance while avoiding Intel chipsets. However, the partnership Nvidia had with Apple hasn't gone that smoothly, and it became very noticeable when Apple suddenly stopped using Nvidia chipsets in 2015. Now, how did all this even start? Initially, Nvidia replaced Intel as Apple's business partner, which didn't go well for Nvidia because Intel fired Nvidia with a lawsuit that would later put Apple's plans in disarray.
Well, we don't hate Intel so much, but they do hate us a lot. They decided that we were becoming too successful, and they decided to block our ability to capture the benefits of our rights, whereas they would like to continue to retain the benefits of the rights that they negotiated from us.
But surprising enough, Apple continued to use Nvidia's chipsets despite the legal pressure from Intel. But why? You see, at the time, Intel's integrated GPUs were substandard, which made Apple's options very limited. The chips from Intel fell short of expectations, which made Apple opt in to partner with Nvidia in the first place. However, even after Apple partnered with Nvidia, it still encountered some challenges. These dispute issues between Apple and Nvidia kept on going, and in 2008, Nvidia was faced with a securities lawsuit for shipping defective GPUs despite knowing they were faulty. These GPUs caused damages to the computers Apple produced at the time and resulted in costly replacements. Now, Nvidia has attempted to solve the problem through firmware updates and warranty extensions. However, the GPU issues did not stop on Apple's devices, and the major problem was the soldering cracking under thermal stress on these GPUs. At the time, Apple was affected by Nvidia's GeForce 8600M GT, which was used on the MacBook Pro. It didn't stop there. These GPUs kept failing continuously, and Apple had to extend its warranties for its customers in 2009, which ended in 2012. Despite Apple's efforts to mitigate the risk, they still faced class action lawsuits, and Nvidia refused to provide Apple with full support costs because the business saw Apple as a small player and rather chose to provide adequate support costs to other companies like Dell. You see, the actions Nvidia took further strained the relationship it had with Apple, and if we look closer, we can see that, as of this period, the relationship between Apple and Nvidia was already weakened, and the partnership that existed was about to end. Finally, in 2013, Apple made decisions to depart significantly from Nvidia's GPUs in their product line, which they had previously preferred. Then, the most surprising thing happened. Apple partnered with AMD, which was Nvidia's biggest rival at the time. But why? The decision Apple made to collaborate with AMD was based on various factors, which included competitive pricing, technological capabilities, and perhaps a desire to diversify its supplier base. For these reasons, Apple made its decision to end its collaboration with Nvidia completely in 2014. But hold on, there's more. This isn't the only time Nvidia has experienced business difficulties in the past. If we go back to 2015, at the time, the Asia-Pacific region encountered a shortage of Nvidia's chipsets, which were named the GTX 980 and the GTX 980 Ti graphics cards. However, the main cause of this shortage was issues within the GPU supply chains, and the situation even got worse as the demand in the region kept on increasing.
Nvidia remains the leader in the GPU industry by a wide margin, controlling about 83% of the discrete GPU market in the most recent quarter.
In yet another similar situation in 2017, there was another shortage of Nvidia's GTX 10 graphics card series, and the scarcity was caused by an increase in demand for the rising prices of Ethereum, an alternative cryptocurrency to Bitcoin. This increased demand for mining cryptocurrency at the time was one of the major reasons the shortage existed. However, here's how Nvidia operates. The business works by planning and reserving a specific amount of manufacturing capacity early, which is usually months or years before the manufacturing period. By doing that, the business can ensure that they have more than enough access to the important resources that will be used to produce their semiconductor products, which include their graphics cards and CPUs, which would then match the production timings and the expected demand they have scheduled. But there's one thing to note. Nvidia, being a major player in the graphics card market, has made it experience huge issues, and the short-term shortages Nvidia faced were always blamed on increased demand. But that was not always the case. The company's CEO, Huang, said that the GPUs they manufacture have a demand issue and not a supply issue. The statement was made during a press event at the company's GPU technology conference. Moreover, the company's CEO, Huang, said that there was no actual problem to address, and the issue was merely a phenomenon. Regardless of these GPU shortages, Nvidia was still able to make a whopping $5 billion in revenue following the publication of the company's revenue early in 2021. Nvidia kept on making so much profit that, for instance, let's say you had $5,000 to spare and invested in Nvidia 5 years ago, of which a single stock sold for $46. If we calculate that today, that same $5,000 investment would now be worth $89,943. Surprising, right? That's the equivalent of 1,788.6% in profit. Now, it doesn't end there. Nvidia has produced a 277,708% gain since its initial public offering in 1999, which means if you invested $1,000 when the business went public, your investment would now sit at around $2,784,065, which already makes you a millionaire. But how far can this incredible growth go for Nvidia? Well, there would always be more to find out. Nvidia's growth has been nothing short of extraordinary, and how it's been able to navigate its way to the top is remarkable. However, can Nvidia become bigger than what it is today? And do you think this chip-producing giant will become a monopoly? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy financial documentaries like this regularly, like, share, and subscribe. Catch you next time.